I'm Rosaleen Carroll with Al Monitor, joined by our Israel columnist, Ben Caspit, who just wrote a very interesting piece about how the emerging agreement between the US and Iran was received by Netanyahu and his inner circle. Ben, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And Ben, you spoke to an associate of Netanyahu who said that the Israeli prime minister, quote, knew it was over when Trump called him about the deal. We know that this deal is not exactly what Netanyahu wanted. Does it represent a crisis in the relationship between Trump and Netanyahu?
Yes, of course. I think crisis is a very gentle word comparing to the real situation. It's really unprecedented and unbelievable that a few months ago, these two armies, these two air forces, fought together, united against Iran, and now Netanyahu doesn't know the details of this agreement. President Trump still doesn't give Netanyahu the knowledge, the details of the agreement that is affecting directly the national security of Israel. So Netanyahu had a statement yesterday with the press conference. During his statement, he did not mention the word Trump, not once. Then he was asked about the president, and he said something like, "We don't see eye to eye, or we are not on the same page regarding the agreement with Iran with our fellow Americans. This is not a fight, and this is not a crisis. It's disagreement among friends." Now, when he's not in the presence of a camera or a microphone, Netanyahu knows the truth. He knows that Trump turned on him. When you're thrown under the bus or the train, you are the first one to feel it and to know it. And this is the correct situation right now. So Netanyahu has even an existential dilemma right now. What he's going to do about it? Can he attack? Can he do Obama to Trump? Can he do Biden to Trump? I'm talking about all the years that Netanyahu served with presidents like Biden and Obama, and he did not. He did whatever he wanted, and he flew to have I think it was 2015. If he flew to have a speech in Congress without the knowledge of the president, but Netanyahu knows he cannot do it right now. He cannot risk losing Trump because Trump is not Biden, Trump is not Obama. So what Netanyahu is doing actually, he's polite, he's calm, he's not talking a lot about Trump, but he gave an order to all of his followers, all the guys in Twitter, the guys in his private television channels, to talk about the president and to call him loser, to call Witkoff and Kushner small or little Jews, to call the vice president a scam. This is the method that Netanyahu picks right now. Actually, Netanyahu has right now proxies that fight Trump, but it's not himself. He will not risk doing it before the election.
Mhm. And what about beyond Netanyahu? I mean, is this the deal? Is it an issue across the Israeli political spectrum, or is it just Netanyahu and his sort of camp?
Of course, uh, I think comparing to this agreement, the Obama JCPOA is the Treaty of Versailles, talking about Iran as Germany. No one in Israel, maybe in the very, very far left, thinks this is a good agreement. It's not an agreement at all. It's only opening the Hormuz Straits and flooding Iran with billions of dollars. And no one in Israel is naive enough to believe that after 60 days, someone will fly to Iran and take out the 440 kilograms. By the way, it's not only 440 kilograms, they have tons of enriched uranium in different levels, and it's also very, very dangerous. So no one in Israel supports this agreement, although President Trump is still very popular in Israel. On the other hand, people in Israel are very tired. We never had such a long war. This war, I think now it's longer than the First World War or the Russia-Ukraine war. No, Russia Ukraine is longer. So we are not used to fight for 3 years. Israel is a very small state. The economy is at risk. The simple life is at risk. The airport, the Israeli airport, is stuck with the American tankers. We don't have any complaints, but you cannot. People want to go back to their routine. They want to forget about this war. So no one will go to the street and demonstrate against the disagreement. But Israelis are not naive, and we know disagreement means problems and trouble in the midterm or long range relationship regarding Iran, regarding the proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, etc.
And how about, so Israel has elections coming up this fall in September or October. How do you expect the deal to play a role in those elections?
Right now, this is a major role because the Netanyahu plan, the original plan was to postpone election as far as possible. By the way, his only total victory is the fact that the election in Israel will be after 4 years, as planned, as the original date, and it's unbelievable. After October 7th, no one could survive such a crisis, such a catastrophe, such a Holocaust, except Netanyahu. So he was able to get this pride to himself. But the plan was to come to this war after the total victory in all the fronts, especially toppling the Ayatollah's regime, getting rid of Hamas, Hezbollah, etc. Right now, all these three fronts are open. Netanyahu don't have any merchandise to sell to his base. So it is going to affect the campaign, the Netanyahu chances. If you see in the polling market, like where you gamble about election, you see suddenly after the deal was signed, Netanyahu's chances fell, dove, and Gadi Eisenkot's chances just took off. So Netanyahu will have to invent something, maybe to talk about all the military achievements, in assassinations of Def and of Sinwar and of Nasrallah and Khamenei, but he knows that he cannot say in no front, he cannot say, I won. We won, because all the agreements are so bad for him, not for him, for Israel. So I think he knows the real situation, and it brings us to the first time in history to the conclusion that he will have a very, very important dilemma, the decision to run, to compete in this election, or to quit in the last moment. This possibility is on the table. I'm not saying, and I'm not gambling that he's going to quit, but if he is not quitting and losing the election, his chances to find himself in jail after the elections are getting very, very strong. And he knows that a plea bargain without jail is possible right now. Not sure it will be possible when he's not prime minister. So he will have to take a lot of time and to reconsider his running for a re-election in the seventh or eighth time. I still gamble that we will have Netanyahu with us in the campaign, but this is a real situation for him.
Mm-hmm. Just one more question. You mentioned the medium and the longer term aspect of this situation. We don't know the terms of the deal yet, but it looks like Iran could get some sanctions relief from the deal. Mossad Director David Barnea had previously assessed that if pressure continues on the Iranian government, whether that's sanctions plus Israeli operations and US operations, it could collapse in 1 to 2 years, the Iranian government. Do you think the prospect of sanctions relief from this deal has given the Iranian government a lifeline, and what does that mean for Israel?
The short answer is of course yes. We all spoke to Dadi Barnea after he left and before he left, and he always said the plan to topple the Iranian regime was not supposed to happen during the war, but right after the war. We can say a lot of things about this plan. President Trump blocked it, and we will never know if it could work or not with the Kurds, etc. But one thing is for sure: between 70 and 80% from the Iranian people doesn't want this regime to survive. They ask everyone to help. They want to get back to the previous administration, to a democracy or a monarchy or whatever, not an Islamic state. But the question is, can the regime survive and handle the state and pay his debts and try to rebuild everything that was destroyed? And when you lift the sanctions, the answer is yes, they can. Even you don't lift the sanctions. And by the way, most of the Israelis, including experts and the army and everyone, thought that the best conclusion to situation, the catch-22 situation right now, is holding the siege on Iran, the blockade on Iran, and it will take between 6 to 12 months that the regime will fall. But this is not going to happen. Trump doesn't have this patience and this time, and the Nasdaq and everything. So right now, giving them 20 or 30 billion dollars in the first phase, and then it will be hundreds of billions of dollars. This means that the regime has a chance to survive. This regime will fall eventually. It can take 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. These kind of dictatorships don't hold forever. The problem is it can fall after the nuclear bomb will be in their possession, and this will be a lot more dangerous.
Ben, thanks so much for your insight. We appreciate you making the time, and we look forward to your next analysis.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.